Today's question comes from Haley in Virginia. My boyfriend has talked about proposing sometime in the coming months. I know I want to marry him, but there is one thing holding me back from committing completely. He has a ton of debt. He's a full-time college student at a private university and has around $30,000 in debt already. He doesn't have a job, so he is just continuing to accrue the debt and not pay on it. I'm a full-time college student, but I also work a full-time job. I have no debt at all, and it is very concerning to me that I would be taking in all of his debt if I marry him now. How do we navigate this? Wow. Well, I think very first thing is to have that conversation, because the fact that you're thinking about marriage with this guy and he's continuing to accrue debt, that's an issue. It'd be one thing if he had debt and you guys are on the same page and you're going to tackle it when you're married. But the fact that he has it and doesn't seem concerned about it, he doesn't really want to work to pay it off, and he's just kind of continuing to take it on. I think you guys have to have a real level setting conversation to go, okay, here's how I view money. This is my goal for the future. I don't want to have debt. I'm working really hard now while a full-time student so that I can have, freedom in the future and won't be stressed by money. If we're going to enter into this agreement together, if we're going to be married, I don't want to live my life that way.
Yeah. Yeah. The dollar amount, honestly, Haley, concerns me less, because I wouldn't say not to marry someone because they have debt. I mean, yeah, that doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is the values conversation, what you're saying, Christina. Like, if he says, oh, yeah, I don't care about having debt, and I'm going to, have credit card debt, I'll probably take out car loans, all that, then your values are off at that point. And that's the conversation you guys need to have, and get even deeper to the why, why don't you want to have debt? What's your why? Is it because, of how you grew up and you're fearful? Is it because you've experienced not having margin before and it stresses you out? Is it because you want this feeling of security? Like, what's your why for living debt free? And I want to know his why. If he does, I don't want to put this on him, but I'm assuming, he's somewhat okay with debt, or he's a college, or he's 20 years old and
Right.
He's a normal college student in the world and doesn't know there's another way. But if you guys talk about it and he still is like, no, I don't care because I want to enjoy my life and I want to, whatever the thing is that he's okay living in that, then again, that's a values conversation that you guys have to have. And the truth is that money fights and money problems is one of the leading causes of divorce in America today. I had a friend, and I remember he was like, yeah, if the number one reason people died in your neighborhood was because of bears, people would be reading about bears. They'd be freaked out about bears. There'd be meetings about bears. Everyone would be talking about bears. And it's like, how do we avoid the bears? How do we get them away? The strategies? I mean, right? You'd be freaked out. And so when you hear one of the leading causes of divorce, when you're entering a marriage, you should be like, okay, what do we do about this? It should be an on fire. So I feel that urgency from you, Haley, which I'm so thankful to hear that, because it is a big deal, but also it's less about the dollar amount of, if Winston Cruz back in the day had $200,000 in debt, but he said, never again, we're not doing it, I would still marry him, and we'd have a road to climb to get out together as a married couple, because I'd still marry him. I love him,
But I think it's important, like, if he says, so you have this values conversation and he says, okay, I'm willing to change. I didn't realize that taking out student loans wasn't something I should do. I want to get on board, have a great financial future. Like, I think after that, before you get married, it's good to see evidence of change. Like, that it's not just a conversation where he's like, yeah, and then the next semester he takes out another $15,000 in debt, like, especially
Right.
at this phase you're in where there's like a very obvious outcome in terms of, is he going to take on more debt or not? Pay attention to that. Because, if he really wants to marry you and he's excited to marry you, we don't want him to just say he's compromising or, say something so that, you get across the marriage line and then he doesn't actually change. So I think you have an opportunity to also see, once you have that conversation, how he proceeds.
Yep, some evidence in it. Yeah, but great question, Haley.